First time Arkansas will play Arkansas State in a football game, and here to talk about it, the head coach of the Red Wolves in his fifth year now, Butch Jones, joining us on the Chuck and Bo Show here on a Thursday morning. Coach, it's a pleasure. Thanks for making time for us. I hope you're well.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, and really appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, absolutely happy to do it. What's this build up? I know as a coach, you're just getting your team ready and all that, but all summer, I'm sure there's been a lot of conversation. What's it been like from an Arkansas State perspective?
Well, I don't want to come on here and sound like coach speak, but really our players understand just the tremendous opportunity that this presents, but really the bigger challenge that it presents. But, as a coach, you try to, take it one game at a time, and we're really in a unique situation here, and I think a lot of teams across the country in college football are, but we have 72 newcomers that weren't even involved in our program last year, and about 45 of them weren't even in spring football. So we've really had to focus on continuing to build our culture, continue to build our connection, really what our DNA is going to be about. So, with this football team, every day is a new learning experience. When we head to Little Rock, we'll have a travel party of about 80, and 55 of them have never made the trip before. So I think there's been a lot of things. Obviously, our fan base is excited, and a lot of people have really worked behind the scenes to make this game a reality. But again, it's the next game. It's the most important game. But make no mistake about it, this is a tremendous challenge for us. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Arkansas and what Coach has really built there. And spending 8 years in the SEC, I completely understand what it is to compete in that conference. I think they've done a good job of really building their team to really compete at the SEC level. So for us, the speed level is going to be completely different. The size difference is going to be completely different, and it's going to be a great challenge in moving forward.
What's it like to go play away from Jonesboro, not in a road game? It's kind of a road game, but it's more of a neutral site, but it's different too because it's in Little Rock. How do you prepare for that?
Well, we have to treat it like a road game. And again, with this football team, every week is an unknown. And again, how are they going to respond, where the surroundings are different, where there's clutter and distraction, with the game, the surroundings, how do we handle the crowd noise, the road focus that goes into it, the poise, the discipline to execute, and then you're playing a real quality opponent too. So I said it, I really won't probably figure our football team out to probably game 5 or game 6 when we have our bye week, and that's just because of the newness with everyone. But you're exactly right when you bring up the situations change, you're staying in a different hotel that you're not used to. You can feel the energy. You're playing in a stadium that you've never been in before, and then you're playing in front of a sold-out crowd and all that goes into it. So I think the maturity of a football team, the wisdom of a football team, and then really your overall preparation of what it takes to play winning football, not just when you get to the game site or get to Little Rock, but throughout the course of a week.
Coach, watching video of your team, you've got a good quarterback, got some good receivers. You talked about the speed. It may not be SEC speed, but I'm sure for your league it's better than average. What are your thoughts on your football team coming out of your first game, and what are the areas that you look at and say we got to get better here?
Yeah, well, I thought there was a lot of growth associated with our game this past Saturday. And, the game didn't start off the way we anticipated it. We gave up a long drive. They controlled the ball the entire first quarter. They had the ball for over, I believe, 11 minutes. We were down. And I really wanted to see how we would respond because, again, we went into that game with 9 out of our 11 starters on defense had never started a game at Arkansas State, and they were all newcomers. And then on top of that, you got a new defensive staff as well. So I really wanted to see how we would respond, and we did. We went on to score 35 unanswered points. We had 4 consecutive 3-and-outs, and our players didn't flinch. They didn't blink. So that was great to see. I think the biggest thing with our football team is how do we handle adversity? And then I just think, playing for 60 minutes, we talk about starting strong and starting fast and finishing strong. We didn't do that. We didn't start the game strong. And, when you go in fast and when you go play at an opponent like Arkansas, you can't warm up to the game. You got to be ready to play right from the minute you run out of the locker room. So I didn't think we particularly started fast, and I didn't think we ended strong. And we talk about competing to a standard, and we don't look up at the scoreboard. Why would you let a scoreboard dictate how you play? And I thought we had some individuals go in at the end of the game that, have a lot of growth associated with that and have to get a lot better. And the value of a rep, if it's 1 rep, if it's 5 rep, if it's 10 reps, that's what we're evaluating you on. So I think we have a lot of growth associated with it, but for us to be the team that we want to be, we have to get better in a hurry.
Coach Butch Jones with us, Arkansas State in his 5th year, and you've been through all areas of college football, all levels of college football, whether it's Ferris State, Central Michigan, West Virginia as a wide receivers coach, head coach at Cincinnati, head coach at Tennessee, spent 3 years, I believe, with Saban at Alabama, and now you're at Arkansas State, and you're playing games outside of your conference where the Sun Belt's not a Power 4 conference, but you're going and playing Power 4 teams. And sometimes when that happens, you show up as a big underdog. But you guys have competed against other Power 4 teams, created a great environment with opportunities to win the game in the second half. What's different about coaching at a school like this and going into an environment where you're perhaps more than a 3-touchdown underdog and most of the country's not giving you a chance?
Well, that's a great question. And, I think first of all is controlling what you can control. And every underdog will tell you you have to get the game to the fourth quarter. If you can get the game to the fourth quarter, anything can happen. And we were at Central Michigan. We went on the road. We beat Michigan State when they were top 25 in the country. At Central Michigan again, we went on the road and we beat Indiana. So we had a 2-game winning streak back in the day against the Big Ten. And, again, it's going to be a great challenge in how your players respond, but I think it starts with an overall belief system, and then how do you handle the natural adversities that a game creates, particularly early. And momentum is such a powerful thing in football, and how can you still try to control the momentum and, not flinch and not panic? They're a really, really quality opponent. A lot of people think Arkansas may be the most improved team in the SEC, and I agree with that. So, again, how do we handle those moments when it doesn't go our way? And I think you just have to work to compete for 60 minutes and really not look at the scoreboard. And that's what we talk about in our program all the time. And I think this is going to be a great test for our team to really see kind of where we're at. And then, every player has goals and aspirations of playing in the National Football League. Well, if that's something you want to do, this is a great game to go showcase your individual skill set and prove that you belong at that high level.
Coach, I'm sure when the game starts, it's going to be like any other game, but there is historical significance here, and you're going to coach in a game that is historically significant in Arkansas. What just from an individual perspective, what's that like for you this week?
Well, I do think it's a unique situation, and I wish really what was going on in the state really got more national attention. If you really think about it, it's the first time that these two great schools have ever played. And it may be, like Coach Pittman talked about, it may be maybe the only time, who knows. But we're also playing it in our state capital. And I think when you look at the landscape of college football right now with conference expansion and all different things that are going on, I think a lot of these natural type vicinity games have kind of gone away. And I think it is great for the entire state of Arkansas. I think it's great for high school football in the state of Arkansas. I think it really promotes football within our great state. So I think it's extremely healthy, and to be a part of it, obviously, it's a lot different being on the end of being a 23-point underdog. And I also understand, what's going through Coach Pittman and, all the things that you go through. I've been on both sides of it. So I think I have a pretty good perspective of the game. But I think just for the entire state of Arkansas and for the health of college football in our state, I think it's extremely healthy.
Coach, do you want to keep playing this game if it were up to you?
I would. When you look at it, we've had to go on the road at the University of Michigan. We've had to go on the road at Ohio State. We've had to go on the road at Oklahoma. So we've been in those big venues, but to be able to play our in-state school and to play an SEC opponent, I think, it's keeping everything in state. I think it's great for our fan bases. And again, I understand where Arkansas is coming from too, because, for us, it's similar but different. But, we've had a long tenured series with Central Arkansas. And so, we've been a part of that. So I understand what goes through on the other side of it as well, and I respect that greatly. But, where we're at, and I think just the ever-changing landscape in terms of scheduling, with the SEC now going to 9 games, I know that makes it even more of a challenge. And I think as time goes on, we'll have even more changes within college football and the format of everything as time moves on.
Coach, we'll get you out of here with this. I want to give you a chance to talk about what you've been building at A-State. You take that job on. You went 2 games your first year, 3 games your next year, and then you've been to back-to-back bowl games. What's it been like? And then adding to that, the environment that you've mentioned in this short time here with us today of college football with the portal and rev share and NIL.
I tell you this. It's been quite the journey, and the crazy thing when you go down memory lane is when I accepted the job at Arkansas State, we were actually, I was with Bama, and we were playing in Fayetteville, and we were playing Arkansas, and I believe it was the last game of the year, and I was actually coaching the receivers, and the guy who ran recruiting for me at Tennessee, who's now runs recruiting at Alabama, he's on our sideline, and he's got my phone, and he's negotiating my contract as the game's going on. And I'll never forget that game and going in the locker room afterwards and telling Coach Saban, that I had accepted the job, and then, flying out of the FBO there to get to Jonesboro. So there's a lot of different kind of strolls down memory lane, but it's been a process. And when you talk about trust the process, I don't know if there's any other journey that really exemplifies that more. We came in, we had just taken over COVID. COVID was just ending, so there really wasn't much of a foundation here. And then we come in, and then, we have 48 junior college players on our roster with 1 year of eligibility.
Wow.
So we had no growth and development. We were stagnant for a year. And then if you guys remember, so then I come in the Sun Belt has all the great teams, the older veteran teams. Coastal Carolina had it going on. And then everyone's granted another year of eligibility because of the COVID year. So all the good teams in the league, they kept their players. So really, I thought we were down about 2 years in the development of our program, but I'm really proud of how far we've come. We won 8 games last year. That's the third most in the history of Arkansas State football of 8 wins, and then we were able to win a bowl game. So we've come a long way. We've placed 4 individuals on last year's team on NFL rosters. So we talk about being NFL ready. I believe right now, been part of 68 guys right now that are on rosters in the National Football League. So becoming NFL ready, that's now become kind of, we've really made that come to life, so to speak. So really proud of what we've built here and what we're building, but we still have a long ways to go.
Hey, I got to ask you, Alabama, you spent 3 years in that building and in that state, and you know what it's like. What do you think it's like right now at Alabama?
Well, I tell you what, we used to talk about that all the time, and I think you can take Tennessee and times that by 2.
Yeah.
So I've actually been part of the high-profile programs and all that. And, as a coach, you really don't feel the outside because you only know one way into work and one way out. And I think you have confidence in everything of building your program and running your program. Really, to be honest with you, the people who feel it are your families. When your wife's in the community, when your kids go to school, and I'm just speaking from personal experience, I think it affects the families more than it does the coach, because as a coach, you're kind of sheltered in the football facility and you don't really see what's out there where your family has to live it every day. But I said this is the football season, an entire football season is like writing a book. And each game is a chapter, and you really can't judge the book until all the chapters are written. And, I think the teams that can manage the natural adversities of a long football season are really the ones that like their body of work when the season ends.
Yeah. Well said and experienced right there. Coach Butch Jones. Hey, it was great to catch up, Coach. Thanks for making time for us.
Thank you, Coach.